Good morning, Grade 9. Grade 9 Samaria, Sinai, and Shiloh. Today, we are going to talk about bread and pastry production. There are 7 chapters under this unit. We have 1. Baking ingredients and their substitutes. 2. Baking tools and equipment and their uses. 3. Types and classifications of baked products. 4. Preparing pastry products. 5. Preparing sponges and cake. 6. Preparing fillings, coatings, icings, and decorations. And 7. Preparing and displaying petit four. Sa pag-aaral ng bread and pastry production, madedevelop ang inyong patience, lalong-lalo na kung wala pa kayong experience sa pag-produce ng kahit na anong baked products. Makikita nyo na baking is both a math and a science. Math, kasi meron tayong mga 4 fundamentals operations. Pwede kayong mag-add, mag-subtract, mag-divide, at mag-minus ng mga ingredients kung tayo ay nagkakaroon ng recipe adjustments. It is also a science. Makikita nyo yung effect ng bawat ingredients, yung kanilang amount, yung kanilang quality, doon sa outcome ng ating baked products. You will be able to know what actually goes into that muffins that you enjoy eating. So for this lesson, there are several learning outcomes. 1. Identify the major and minor baking ingredients. 2. Discuss abbreviations used in baking. 3. Enumerate measuring equipment for baking. And 4. Demonstrate how to measure the different baking ingredients. There are 7 major baking ingredients. Every baked product uses similar ingredients. The difference lies in the proportions used and treatment of ingredients. So, it is important for us to understand or to know the functions of each ingredient in a recipe because it will help us determine why a baked product fails. Flour is made from wheat and may also come from rye, rice, corn, and other grains. Ito ang basic ingredients ng lahat ng baked products, katulad ng bread, cakes, cookies, biscuits, and pies. So dito sa Philippines, meron tayong basic 3 kinds of flour na ginagamit sa baking. We have all-purpose flour. Tinatawag din itong pastry flour, family flour, or general flour. Ito yung ginagamit natin sa pag-prepare ng cakes, cookies, breads, and pastries. The second category or kind is the bread flour. This is good to use for baking bread rolls and other yeast-raised bread. It contains more gluten other than flour, which gives the loaf a good volume, texture, and grain. Cake flour is best for cakes, cookies, pastries, and crackers. It comes from soft wheat flour and has low gluten content than bread flour. So, ito yung weakest type of flour. Ito yung pinakamaputi, pinaka-soft ang texture, yung tinatawag natin na cake flour. Ang gluten ay hindi madedevelop kapag walang moisture. Kaya ang liquid ay essential sa baking process. Pie crust provide a good illustrations of how liquids function in baking. If too much water is incorporated in a pie dough, a lot of gluten develops and the crust is tough. If no water at all is used, no gluten develops and the crust does not hold together. Some of the moisture in dough and batters changes to steam during baking. This contributes to leavening. So there are 3 examples. We have water, milk, and fruit juice. Water is the basic liquid in baking, especially in breads. Tap water is normally suitable for most baking purposes. However, in some localities, the water may be hard, meaning it contains many dissolved minerals. These minerals interfere with proper gluten development. In these areas, the water may have to be treated for use in baking. Milk products include liquid whole milk and skim milk, buttermilk, and dry solid milks. Milk contributes to the texture, flavor, nutritional value, keeping quality, and the crust color of baked goods. There are also other sources of liquid, such as eggs, honey, molasses, and even butter, because it contributes to moisture to a dough or batter. In many cookies, for examples, eggs are the only liquid in the formula. Ate nga. Sugars or sweetening agents are used for the following purposes in baking. 1. To add sweetness and flavor. 2. To add tenderness and fineness of texture by weakening the gluten structure. 3. To give crust color. 4. To increase keeping qualities by retaining moisture and to act as creaming agents with fats. We customarily use the term sugar for refined sugars derived from sugar cane or beets. The chemical name for these sugars is sucrose. However, other sugars of different chemical structure are also used in the bake shop. So we have granulated sugar, confectioner sugar, and brown sugar. Granulated sugar is also called fine granulated or table sugar. It is the most familiar and the most commonly used. Meron din tayong tinatawag na very fine and ultra fine sugars. They are finer than the regular granulated. They are priced for making cakes and cookies because they make a more uniform batter and can support higher quantities of fat. Meron din tayong sanding sugars. They are coarser and are used for coating donuts, cakes, and other products. So, ano naman ang tinatawag nating confectioner sugar? They are ground to fine powder and mixed with a small amount of starch to prevent caking. So, meron silang classification according to coarseness or fineness. So, ang another term for confectioner sugar is powdered sugar. How about brown sugar? A brown sugar is mostly sucrose. It contains varying amounts of molasses and other impurities. The darker grades contain more molasses. So, yung tinatawag natin na brown sugar, yan ay ang sugar that has not been completely purified. Mayroon siyang caramel, mineral matter, moisture, at molasses. Alright, so tatandaan natin na aside from the granulated, confectioner, and brown sugar, meron pa tayong iba pang sweeteners na ginagamit sa paggawa ng bread and pastries. Ito yung tinatawag natin na molasses. Ito yung concentrated sugarcane juice. Meron din tayong corn syrup. Ito yung liquid sweetener na mainly consist of sugar called glucose. Yung glucose syrup, meron tayong honey, which is a natural sugar syrup, and malt syrup. Ito yung madalas na ginagamit sa yeast bread because it serves as food for the yeast and adds flavor and crust color to the breads. Alright? Moving on to eggs. Ang eggs ay available in different forms. We have whole shell eggs, meron tayong frozen, meron ding dried. So, sa bread and pastry production, ano ba ang functions ng egg in baking? Pwedeng ito sa structure, emulsification of fats, kasi yung egg yolk, meron siyang natural emulsifiers and it helps produce a smooth batters. Kaya nakaka-contribute ang itlog sa volume and texture ng baked products. Leavening, kasi yung beaten eggs, nag-i-incorporate siya ng air sa tiny cells or bubbles. In a batter, this trapped air expands when heated and aids in leavening. Another is the shortening action. The fat in egg yolks acts as shortening. This is important. This is an important function in products that are low in other fats. Another function is moisture. Whole eggs are about 70% water, egg whites about 86% water, and egg yolks about 48% water. This moisture must be calculated as part of the total liquid in a formula. So ano pa ba yung ibang functions ng egg? It adds flavor, nutritive value, and of course, color. Yung egg yolks, nagbibigay siya ng yellow color doon sa dough and batter. Also, eggs browns easily and contribute to crust color. Moving on to shortening. The main function of fats in baking is to shorten gluten strands and tenderize the product. So kung isa-summarize natin, ano ba yung mga reasons of using fats in baked products? 1. To tenderize the product and soften the texture. 2. To add moistness and richness. 3. To increase keeping quality. 4. To add flavor. And 5. To assist in leavening agent when used as creaming agents or when used to give flakiness to puff pastry, pie dough, and similar products. So yung shortening ay tumutukoy sa kahit na anong group of solid fats, usually white and tasteless, that are specially formulated for baking. So dahil ang shortening ay maraming gamit sa baking, yung mga manufacturers, nag-formulate sila ng different kinds of fats with different properties. Meron tayong tinatawag na regular shortening, merong emulsified shortening, and meron din tayong tinatawag na puff pastry shortening. So ano ba yung tinatawag natin na hog fat or lard? It is the rendered fat of hogs. Because of its plastic quality, it was once highly valued for making flaky pie crusts. Since the development of modern shortening, it is not often used in bake shop. How about the butter? Ayan, ano ba yung tinatawag nating butter? Ang butter ay natural product. Ito ay hard and brittle when cold and soft at room temperature, and it melts easily. Kaya yung mga dough na gawa sa butter are hard to handle at room temperature. Ano naman yung margarine? This one is a little easier to handle. Pero meron siyang ibang disadvantage katulad ng yung flavor. Shortenings are intentionally flavorless, but the butter has a highly desirable flavor. Ano naman yung melting qualities? Butter melts in the mouth. Shortenings do not. Kaya after eating pastries or icings made with shortening like margarine, one can be left with an unpleasant film of shortening coating the mouth. Dahil dyan, yung mga bakers and pastry chef feels na mas advantageous yung paggamit ng butter kaysa sa margarine. How about a vegetable shortening? Ano naman yung tinatawag nating vegetable shortening? Ang vegetable shortening ay hydrogenated vegetable oil. It does not contain moisture. It comes from purified deodorized oil like coconut, corn grain, and cottonseed. A vegetable oil is used in bread baking. It is difficult to handle, so it is not used regularly as shortening. Leavening is the production or incorporation of gases in a baked product to increase volume and to produce shape and texture. These gases must be retained in the product until the structure is set enough to hold its shape. Exact measurement of leavening agent is important because small changes can produce major defects in baked products. So we have air, water, and carbon dioxide. Air is incorporated into a batter primarily by two methods. One is creaming and the other is foaming. This air expands during baking and leavens the product. So ano ba yung creaming? It is the process of beating fat and sugar together to incorporate air. It is an important technique in baking, cake, and cookie making. Some pound cakes and cookies are leavened entirely by this method. How about foaming? Ano ba ang ibig sabihin ng foaming? It is a process of beating eggs with or without sugar to incorporate air. Foams made with whole eggs are used to leaven sponge cakes, while angel food cakes, meringues, and souffle are leavened with egg white foams. How about the water? Paano ba ginagamit yung water? When water turns into steam, it expands to 1,600 times its original volume. Because all baked products contain some moisture, steam is an important leavening agent. Puff pastry, cream puffs, popovers, and pie crust use steam as their major or only leavening agent. If the starting baking temperature of these products is high, steam is produced rapidly and leavening is greatest. So, meron din tayong tinatawag na chemical leaveners. Ito yung nagre-release ng gas produced by chemical reactions. So, meron tayong tinatawag na baking soda. Ito yung chemical sodium bicarbonate. Meron tayong baking powder. Meron tayong baking ammonia. At meron din tayong tinatawag na yeast. Merong fermentation. It is the process by which yeast acts on carbohydrates and changes them into carbon dioxide, gas, and alcohol. So this release of gas produces the leavening action in yeast product. The alcohol evaporates completely during and immediately after baking. Now, we have the minor baking ingredients. We have salt, spices and seeds, flavoring, and chocolate. Salt plays an important role in baking. It is more than just a seasoning or flavor enhancer. It is also has these functions. One, salt strengthens gluten structure and makes it more stretchable. Thus, it improves the texture of breads. And two, salt inhibits yeast growth. It is, therefore, important for controlling fermentation in bread dough and in preventing the growth of undesirable wild yeasts. For these reasons, the quantity of salt in a formula must be carefully controlled. How about the spices and seeds? The most important spices in the bake shop are cinnamon, nutmeg, mace, cloves, ginger, cardamom, allspice, anise, and poppy seed. Because spices are used in small quantities, it is not much more expensive to use the best quality and the results are superior. Spices should be measured by weight unless the quantity is so small that measuring spoons are necessary. Other flavorings used in baking are extracts and emulsions. Extracts are flavorful oils and other substances dissolved in alcohol. These include vanilla, lemon, and bitter almond. Emulsions, on the other hand, are flavorful oils mixed with water with the aid of emulsifiers such as vegetable gums. Lemon and orange are the most frequently used emulsions. The flavoring of extracts and emulsions may be natural or artificial. Natural flavorings give the best results, but they are often expensive. Artificial flavorings must be used in moderation to avoid creating strong or undesirable flavors in baked items. Chocolate and cocoa are derived from cocoa and cacao beans. When the beans are roasted and ground, the result product is called chocolate liquor, which contains a white or yellowish fat called cocoa butter. Cocoa is a dry powder that remains after part of the cocoa butter is removed from chocolate liquor. Meron din tayong tinatawag na Dutch processed cocoa, bitter or unsweetened chocolate. Meron din tayong tinatawag na, what they call this? Sweet chocolate, milk chocolate. Ang daming klase ng chocolate na ginagamit sa bread and pastries. Cocoa and chocolate are high in starch. When cocoa is added to a cake formula, it is sometimes considered part of the flour proportion for this reason. So kung titignan nyo yung naka-enumerate doon sa textbook na ginagamit natin, makikita nyo yung different types of chocolate. Merong unsweetened, dark, milk chocolate, white, chocolate chips, unsweetened cocoa powder, and ground chocolate. The accurate measurement of ingredients when baking breads and pastries is very important to achieve the right consistency and taste. Making mistakes in measurement will lead to disastrous results. So sa baking, meron tayong tinatawag na formula. Baker's formula, hindi recipes. If this sounds more to you like the chemistry lab than the kitchen, it is with good reason. The bake shop is much like a chemistry lab, both in the scientific accuracy of all procedures and in the complex reactions that take place during mixing and baking. So, meron tayong tinatawag na cooking measurement conversion. There are 16 tablespoons in 1 cup. So, meron tayong 12 tablespoons in 3/4 cup, 8 tablespoons in 1/2 cup, 5 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon sa 1/3 cup. We have 2 tablespoons in 1/8 cup, and 1 tablespoon is equivalent to 1/16 cup. 2 cups is equivalent to 2 pints, and there are 2 pints in 1 quart. 1 tablespoon is equivalent to 3 teaspoons, and there are 48 teaspoons in 1 cup. The baker's term for weighing out ingredients is scaling. Ingredients like water, milk, and eggs may be measured by volume because they weigh 1 pound per pint or 1 kilogram per liter. Thus, If a formula calls for 2 pounds egg, you may measure 2 pints or 1 quart. Liquid flavoring ingredients such as vanilla, normally measured in very small quantities, may also be measured by volume. 1 tablespoon equals 1/2 ounce. In the metric system, 1 millimeter water weighs 1 gram. 1 liter weighs 1 kilogram. All other liquids, such as corn syrup and molasses, and all dry ingredients are normally weighed. The following are the common baking abbreviations found in packages of food and in recipes or baker's formula. We have small letter T or TSP for teaspoon, big letter T or TBSP for tablespoon, C for cup, OZ for ounce, PT for pint, QT for quart, GAL for gallon, LB for pound, GM for gram, KG for kilogram, big letter L for liter, and ML for milliliter. Substitution of ingredients can also be done when baking breads and pastries. For example, if a recipe calls for 1 tablespoon flour, you can use 1/2 tablespoon cornstarch, potato starch, arrowroot starch, or 1 tablespoon quick cooking tapioca. Another example, if the recipe calls for 1 cup sifted flour, you can use 1 cup minus 2 tablespoons sifted all-purpose flour. Another example is if the recipe calls for 1 cup honey, you can use 1/4 cup sugar, 1 and 1/4 cup sugar plus 1/4 cup liquid. In measuring ingredients assures an excellent quality baked products. So it is important for us to know the proper way of measuring ingredients. Measuring cups and spoons are used to measure dry and liquid ingredients that come in a set of standard measures. So ang isang set na measuring cup ay mayroong 1 cup, 1/2, 1/4, and 1/8. Ang isang set naman ng measuring spoon ay mayroong 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, mayroong 1/2 at 1/4. They can be made of plastic or stainless materials. Another tool used to measure large fluid units is a liquid measuring cup. It is marked with metric measurements that make it easier to measure liquids as stated in the recipes. It can also be made from glass or plastic material. A kitchen scale is a very useful equipment to use for accuracy. Measuring by weight is more accurate instead of volume. An oven thermometer, on the other hand, is a utensil which is used to check the temperature of the oven so that the reading can be compared to the temperature set on the oven dial. An oven thermometer makes sure that the temperature remains consistent throughout the baking process. A kitchen timer is a cooking or baking device that can be set for a number of minutes to 1 hour and alarms when the specified amount of time has elapsed. Most kitchen electric or gas ovens comes with a built-in timer, eliminating the need to buy one. Portion scoops are standardized size scoops used to measure out both cooked and uncooked food. They look like ice cream scoops and have a spring release that scrapes your food, ice cream, or cookie dough out of the scoop after it has been measured. They are available in several sizes and are numbered according to their volume. The higher the number, the smaller the volume. The last one is mixing bowl. Bowls may be made out of plastic, glass, or metal containers. It has various shapes into which ingredients can be placed, measured, and mixed. So let us remember that in order to achieve a good quality product, everything must be measured. Hindi ito katulad ng nagluluto tayo ng isang dish or ulam na kapag may kulang during the cooking process, pwede nating dagdagan. Sa baking, once na pinasok mo na yan doon sa oven, hindi mo na siya pwedeng i-adjust. Kaya bago natin yan lutuin, yung baking process, kailangan exact. So, meron tayong oven thermometer. Sinusukat natin ang hotness or coldness. Meron tayong timer. Sinusukat natin ang oras. Meron tayong ginagamit na measuring equipment both for dry and wet ingredients. Katulad ng measuring cup for dry, liquid measuring cup, and measuring spoon or scoops. So, accurately measured ingredients often spells out the difference between perfectly baked goods and failed ones. It is crucial to read and follow measurements in recipes carefully and accurately. So, in measuring dry ingredients, example, yung flour, we need to put the sifter in a mixing bowl and then scoop the flour into the sifter. Second, sift the flour into the mixing bowl. Do not stir the flour or shake it. Then third, carefully scoop the flour into the measuring cup. Fill the cup to heaping. Do not press the flour into the cup. Do not shake the cup. And then level off the flour using a spatula. Scrape the straight edge across the top of the cup. Some of the flour available commercially is pre-sifted, so there is no need to sift it. You measure pre-sifted flour the same you measure sifted flour. So, yung brown sugar naman, ito ay kailangan nakapack. So, ipe-place natin yung brown sugar doon sa plate, tapos gagamit tayo ng spoon para mailagay yung brown sugar doon sa cup. And then, using a spoon, we need to press the sugar. And then, place the measuring cup at eye level and slide the spatula on the straight edge of the knife across the top to remove the excess sugar. And then, turn the measuring cup upside down into a plate. If properly measured, the brown sugar should stay in after you lift the cup. So, meron din tayong tinatawag na digital weighing scale na ginagamit sa pag-measure ng dry ingredients. Liquid ingredients are measured using a glass or plastic liquid measuring cup because it is easier to see through. The spout also makes it easier to pour, and there are 3 steps in measuring liquid ingredients. 1. Set up the liquid measuring cup. Always put the measuring cup on a flat, even surface. 2. Carefully pour the liquid into the measuring cup. Stop pouring when the liquid reaches the marker line for the desired amount. And then third, read the marker line at eye level. You need to bend down so your eyes are level with the marker line. For cereal, dry breadcrumbs and oats, pour into the cup and then level off with the straight edge of a knife or spatula. For shredded cheese, chopped nuts, coconut, and soft breadcrumbs, spoon into the cup and pat down very lightly. For peanut butter and margarine, spoon into the cup and pack down firmly with a spatula or spoon and then level off. When measuring butter stick, we need to inspect the wrappers. Wrappers for sticks of butters come with markings for tablespoon, 1/4 cup, 1/3 cup, and 1/2 cup. Use a knife to cut off the desired amount. So, yung isang buong butter, ang equivalent niyan ay 1 cup. Pag kailangan mo ng 1/2 cup, all you have to do is to divide it into 2 equal parts. So, yun na yung 1/2 cup. Kung 1/4 cup naman ang kailangan natin, yung 1/2 hatiin mo into 2, yun na yung 1/4 cup. So, kung kailangan mo ng 1/8, yung 1/4 hahatiin mo. Ngayon, meron din siyang maliliit na markings kung gusto nyo ng per tablespoon. Kailangan lang maging observant kayo sa markings na mayroon ang butter. There are times when the recipe or the baker's formula calls for a quantity that is not a standard measurement. So kapag ang hiningi halimbawa ay isang dash, kung ito ay liquid, ang equivalent ng isang dash ay mga 2 or 3 drops. Pero kung ito naman ay dry, ang equivalent ng isang dash ay less than 1/8 teaspoon. Yung parang naglalagay tayo ng salt. 1 pinch salt, isang kurot. O kaya yung si Chef Boy Logro, nakikita niyo yung ping, 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 ping. Parang ganun yung ginagamit niya na measurement ng dash. Are you learning, guys? I hope you are. So, to summarize, ano ba yung pinag-usapan natin sa lesson na ito? Na-identify ba natin ang mga major and minor baking ingredients? Na-discuss ba natin ang abbreviations used in baking? Are we able to enumerate the different measuring equipment for baking? And of course, you were able to know how to measure the different baking ingredients. In closing, allow me to read a verse from the book of Proverbs, chapter 15, verse 27, and it says, "If we were less greedy, there would be a lot less needy." This has been your teacher, Malou Obispo, saying thank you for listening and may God bless us all. Bye!